Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone is having a great week so far. Great Tuesday. Figure we could go ahead and start off a little bit with a quick little poll. So, tell me, what is an unpopular opinion that you have? Let us know down in the chat, okay? And you'll kind of see this come full circle, but I can go ahead and start us off. Unpopular opinion, chocolate is gross. Okay, that's my own personal opinion. I will fight someone for it, but a lot of times you're all on mute. But a lot of times when you're not, I hear lots of like gasp, like, how dare you say chocolate is gross? But you're all muted, so I can't hear that now. But curious what y'all's unpopular opinion is down there in the chat. Bacon is gross. Okay, gotcha. Chick-fil-A is gross. I'm going to fight you on that one. That one is unpopular. Cheesecake. Okay, everything is gross. Those are all of our unpopular opinions, all the gross things happening there. Another Chick-fil-A. Now, y'all don't be hating on the Lord's chicken, okay? We got a pastor here for our speaker series. You can't be hating on the Lord's chicken, all right? Women should have autonomy over their bodies. Okay. Spreadsheets are the best. Older cars are more reliable. Andrea, I don't know if you can be saying that with all the car trouble you've been having this week. Brussels sprouts are gross. I feel like that one's pretty popular. Might be. Backstreet Boys are better than NSYNC. Oh, that's fighting words right there, too. Love it. Okay. Gotten some more in here. Watermelon, another hated one. Awesome. Forge are better. Okay. Getting feisty up in here. I love it. Well, that's one of the great things about having a group and a community of people is we can all have unpopular opinions, but we can all still be, having opinions, but we can still be community and sharing and supportive of each other and stuff. And so we've got some great things happening today. And one of those things is, LadyTitans is always looking, how can we further grow the mission of LadyTitans and reach more women in the trades and empower them to be successful and to be a voice at the table and keep a spot at the table in a predominantly male industry. And so we're so excited to have a sponsor with us for the next few months, Power Selling Pros. They have graciously supported LadyTitans, and you're going to be seeing them for the next few months in our Spotlight series. And so we actually have a special little video that I want to play for you guys here, and we'll chat about them a little bit more.
Hey, Lady Titans, it's Brigham with Power Selling Pros. We're excited about the opportunity to support you and support your group. As you know, Power Selling Pros train CSRs one-on-one twice a month using their own phone calls. We change cultures. We reduce CSR turnover. And of course, we help business owners make a whole lot of money. So be thinking about us as we appreciate and are grateful for the opportunity to support you. Go Lady Titans.
So that is Brigham from Power Selling Pros. And we also have Barry Gates here live on the call, also from Power Selling Pros. Hey, Barry.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for letting me hang out with you today.
Absolutely. So you guys have some amazing resources for anyone in the trades, from CSR training, culture training. And so we're so excited, and thank you for supporting Lady Titans. And so Barry will be around with us for a while. If you guys need to reach out to him or want more information about Power Selling Pros, Barry, what's the best way that they can do that?
They can just email me directly. I'll put my email in the chat here.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, like I said, they're going to be hanging out with us for the next few months. So definitely see what they have to offer, see how they could help and empower your company. And I really love that working on culture is a main thing of Power Selling Pros. And so that leads right into our guest speaker today. So he is not from the trades industry. So this might have been a new name for some of you guys, but he is a person that is very special to me. He's actually the pastor of my church. And don't discount someone being a pastor. Like, whatever your own religious beliefs are, I think there's tons of things that can be learned from anyone in leadership and to provide a different perspective. And so I've heard him give this talk a couple times, and I'm like, I've heard this. I received this. I have tried to imply lots of this stuff to my own organizations. And so from some conversations I've heard with different contractors and even hearing kind of the Lady Titans chat, I was like, I think there could be some real benefit that Jeremy could provide here. So Jeremy Yancey, thank you so much for being here.
Emily, it's a thrill. Thank you guys. And actually, kind of my boss is in the trades. He was a carpenter. So, sorry, that was a dumb pastor joke. That's Jesus. He was a carpenter. Anyway, welcome. Thanks, guys, for giving me a chance to connect with you guys, and looking forward to jumping right in. When it comes to culture, it is the trump card. You can have mission, why you exist, vision, what you want to look like down the road, your values, which are kind of the behaviors that you have as a company to get to your vision, strategy, your consistent steps, your methodologies, all of the goals that we set. But culture is the petri dish. Culture is the soil wherein the organization grows. It is very rarely taught, but it is always easily caught. That is what culture is all about. And when talking to Emily about this opportunity, she had mentioned a conversation we had with some other leaders at a Lemon Seed conference, and it was all about 4 types on every team. If you happen to have a sheet of paper next to you, you can take some notes, but also if you want, you can on the notes you can put kind of this axis here, the vertical and horizontal plane, and on the vertical line going up and down, you can write the word culture, and then on the horizontal side, performance. And so as we talk today, I'm going to give you 4 types of people on your team. And there are those that are high in culture and high in performance, and low in culture and low in performance. And then there's a couple more that we're going to unpack to kind of situate it vernacular, with the vernacular. Culture, performance is the function of the team. That's like actually my effectiveness, how I'm getting down the line, making sure on time, doing it, the quality. Performance is the function of your team. Culture is the feel of your team. Another 2 words that you can kind of grapple with is performance is the effectiveness of the team, and your culture is the personality of the team. I think it was Dina Gutierrez that said, unpopular opinion that Chick-fil-A is gross. So I'll just use Chick-fil-A as an example right here. Like you said, God's chicken, Emily. You've got 2 restaurants here, fast service restaurants, Chicken Express and Chick-fil-A. And I don't know how many of you, maybe in the chat, if you've never eaten Chicken Express, if you've never had their sweet tea is really, you can pour it on pancakes. It's that thick, it's that sweet. But Chicken Express and Chick-fil-A both selling chicken. There's not like an exotic chicken, it's just chicken. Okay. Their performance is pretty much, the same, although Chick-fil-A is outgrowing Chicken Express. The chicken is the chicken is the chicken. But the culture of, like, when you walk in, whether it's clean or not, what the team is saying or not. If you've ever been around a Chick-fil-A, whether you like it or not, hey, thanks. And they say, whatever. No, they say, my pleasure. There's something in the culture that is beyond the sales number. It's beyond the performance of the organization. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill in 4 key pieces on every team. The truth is, there are all kinds of personalities. There has been tons of research, tons of money, tons of books sold on Enneagrams and cholerics and sanguines and introverts and extroverts and 8s and 7s and wing 4s and lions and tigers and bears and otters and beavers and you name it. And all of that stuff is there, but we're going to divide it into 4 key pieces here. And the truth is, you have been one. You actually might be a little bit of all of them. There might be an area that you are stronger in one and then weaker in the other. But here's the goal. Before we even jump in, let me just say, I know young people can learn from older people, and older people can learn from younger people. We all know a lot. We're all in the industry. We're all titans for a reason, because there's a ton of strength and a ton of capacity on the Zoom call today. But I know that when we stack ourselves with enough humility, we can always learn something more. When I lack humility, I'm not able to learn from stuff. But the more humility I stack myself with, I can learn from the good stuff. I can learn from the bad stuff. I can learn from huge successes, and I actually more effectively learn from the stuff where I myself fell short. So let's take this and kind of, before we immediately, because here's what's going to happen. I'm going to show you some things and you're going to think of some people. But before you completely think of everybody else, the number one leader you can grow in your organization is you. A chef has recipes. A archer has a bow and arrow. A coach has a game plan. But the greatest tool in a leader's tool belt is self-leadership. The culture that I'm creating. You are a cultural architect for your organization. When it comes to performance, you are a KPE, you are a key performance KPI, key performance indicator. And I heard a quote the other day that I can read all the self-help books in the world. I can listen to every leadership podcast. But if I cannot read myself, I'll never grow. So it's going to be easier for you to read others in this process. But I want to invite you, and I'll try to do the same. What would it look like to read ourselves through this process? So here are 4 types of people on every single team. Now, I'm a pastor of a church of about 3,700 people. We have 800 volunteers every weekend. We have these 4 types, whether paid or unpaid, whether nice to be around or glad to not be around. You know, there are 2 kinds of people in the world: people that walk into the room and you're like, I'm glad they're here. And there's people that walk out of the room and you're like, I'm glad they're gone. And we have both of those at our church. I mean, and you have those in your family, and you have those at Thanksgiving. You might even be married to one and you're the other. I don't even know. But 4 types. Here we go. First one, everybody wants the star on the team. And as you can see in the axis, as you go horizontally, the higher you are up in culture and the further you are up and to the right, that is a star. And we can break it down like this. Stars are high culture, high performance. They know what you're thinking. They know what you would say. They know how you would want them to interact with a customer dissatisfaction. They know how you would want to save money on the they are high culture, high performance. Here's what's beautiful about stars. You can write some of these things down. When you find a star, number one, they're going to grow the organization. You throw a lasso around the shooting stars, and they're going to pull the organization in a strong, effective way. Stars are guiding lights for ships out to sea. When things get lost, when things get confusing, when the GPS gets a little rattled and maybe cash is tight, or maybe inflation is at all-time high, or there's uncertainty, stars tend to guide us to the true north. They're going to help grow the organization. Here's another thing that stars do. Because they're high trust, they increase the speed of the organization. If you are struggling with things getting done not fast enough, not so fast where it's sloppy, but it's slow, it's so slow that we're missing opportunity. Many times we measure speed with effectiveness, but really it can also come down to a trust issue. When trust is high, speed is high. Let me give you an example. When I was a senior in high school, had a 1987 Ford Aerostar minivan, lady killer, totally awesome minivan, 272,000 miles on it. It died every time I turned left. Parents these days would never allow that to happen with their children. But it was like character development for something for my parents. So every time I was at a green light and I turned left, I would have to throw it into neutral. It would die. I would start it back up and I would get through the intersection. When that finally bit the dust, when it gave up the ghost, I I went searching in the classified ads, found a 1995 Toyota Camry that was a hunter green. Went on a test drive with my dad because it was in the classifieds. Just pulled up to somebody's house, and as we were driving it, it was evening time. The lights were on, and I noticed there was a little bit of electrical tape on the dash. Well, I kind of peeled back the electrical tape, and the check engine light was on. That was their way to fix the engine, was just put tape over, the check engine light. Well, what happened in that moment? That slowed down the sale. Why? Because trust was not high. The higher the trust, the higher the speed of the organization. Stars are the kind of people that you're going to trust. And here's what you pay them. Here's what you pay them. Number one, you pay them attention. Like, you got to pay attention to the culture and to the performance because they're going to rally other people. So here's a question. I'm going to ask this question for each one of these four. What do stars need from a leader? Well, the first one is empowerment. Empowerment is really can also be redefined as delegation. Like, the more I empower, I'm like at a level 1 empowerment when I'm saying, get it done just like this. I'm at high level empowerment when I'm saying, take total ownership. Some people say you can make more money, but you can't make more time. It's actually not true. You can actually multiply your time by your ability to empower and delegate. You're able to get time back into your own leadership and your own effectiveness, your own culture curation, when you're able to empower at a higher level. You are empowering stars. And here's the number one way to empower them. Give them other people in the organization to lead. Give them people. When you have high-powered stars and you've got a new employee coming in, one of the greatest things to do beyond a HR onboarding, sign these documents, watch this video, or whatever it is, like, let them spend a little bit of time at lunch with some stars. Let the stars guide them, like I said, on the true north. So those are stars. Now, let me pause right there and say, as we go through, we're going to be checking the chat. If you have a thought, a question, you can jot it in the chat or hold it for a little later. I want to give us time at the end to kind of unpack any kind of real-time questions. I love moments like that. And so I hope we're able to do that. So let's keep running. That's high performance, high culture. That's up and to the right. We want organizations full of star employees. Here's the next one. These are great. These are great. Every team has them. Puppies. So here, who are the puppies on the team? It don't mean age wise. Puppies are high culture. They get it. They have the feel. They're like, I mean, they're down with goals. But they're low performance. Like, I'm in. They're teared up when, like, they're reading the values of the organization, but they don't show up on time yet, or they didn't fulfill the responsibility, or they're slow on the goal. So high culture, like, you like their attitude. They're not a gossiper. They're not throwing emotional grenades into the rooms when you're having meetings. They're not Debbie Downer, whatever. Like, they high culture but low performance. Now, here's what's cool about puppies. They are future growth. They're going to help grow the organization because, again, culture. You can help manage performance. It's really hard to shift culture in someone. Again, it's less taught and it's more caught. Culture happens longer term. Performance is stuff that is consistency that compounds. So what do we do with that future growth? Like, we want to actually do something with it. Here's the truth, though. The challenge with a puppy, they're going to make messes. Like, our dog is now 12 years old, little Molly, Labradoodle, had her 12 years, and she is, bless her heart, she's on her last leg, almost literally. But starting out, she would make some messes, but she still loved us and we loved her, and she wanted to please, but we had to kind of help her pick up the, kind of learn how to not make so many messes. So here's what puppies need. Here's what puppies need from you. Real quick question. Christina, you're saying, would you say a puppy has a lack of confidence in themselves? Sometimes here's what puppies do. Puppies think they can jump just as high as the other dogs. So I don't know. I don't think it's a lack of confidence in themselves. That may be more personality driven. I think they're excited about themselves. They just don't know what they don't know. Puppies don't know what they don't know. They don't know, oh, that's not really how we do things here, or that's how we do this here. They're going to learn over time. It could be a lack of confidence. It could be an insecurity, or it may just be a lack of maturity and a lack of a skill, a muscle that just hasn't been built yet. Great question. Here's what puppies need from you, though. Right to start out, they need development. They need a consistent process of development. You put the reps in to carry the weight. And so many times what we want is we want to hire stars, pay them like puppies. But the truth is, your best bet for stars is to invest in your puppies. The best bet for stars, because here's the deal, you will pay a premium to get stars already. Someone else developed them because every star was a puppy at some point. So what you're doing is when you hire a star, you're having to pay for the development that someone else put in. You just have to pay a higher premium for a star. But if you can find puppies that have got the ability to grow with the organization, development is going to be huge. What's the number one way you develop them? Connect them with stars. Like, connect them to the stars. Let them get underneath. Let them see how they do it. Like, have conversations. Create 3 or 4 questions that you think would be good questions for a star to answer. Bring them into a meeting when you've got 3 new employees that are puppies, and you're saying, "Hey, what's one thing that you've learned while you've been here on that would be like a shortcut for these guys?" And let that relational equity work in your favor to build those puppies. All right, so we got stars, we got puppies. Now those are high culture, high performance, but high culture, lower performance. All right. Now we're going to get into the bottom of the grid. And this is where we get into, I believe it was the prophet Nacho Libre that said, let's get into the nitty gritty. Okay. So the nitty gritty is this next one. And this is the rats. Okay. Every team has got some rats. I'm a pastor. You're saying as a pastor, you got some rats that are volunteers? Yeah, I do. Now, I'm not trying to call them rodents. I'm not trying to call them pests. It's just, here's the way you say it. It's just stars spelled backwards. It's just a star backwards. It's the absolute opposite of a star. And can I tell you how rats get on your team? How rats get on volunteer teams? How pastor rats get on pastoral teams? I can tell you how. You hire them. That's what happens. That's what happens is we hire them. And when you hire them, you didn't know they were a rat. I could use another example of eagles and turkeys. You know, baby eagles and baby turkeys look almost identical. It's not until they grow up. It's not until you spend some time with them. It's not until you get some feathers on the deal that you know what you're working with. And sometimes, like, the importance of an onboarding process that is way beyond W-4s and signing things and getting insurance figured out, onboarding people with culture questions and performance questions, feel questions. You know, hey, who's someone that you know that's enjoyable to be around? Why are they enjoyable to be around? A part of our culture code is if you're not enjoyable to be around, you're going to struggle here because we're going to struggle with you. Hey, this is an eggshell-free culture here. We don't walk on eggshells with each other. We don't create eggshells. We make some omelets, but we don't walk on eggshells, okay? And culture questions will help us alleviate the amount of rats. But here's the deal. Many times people can start as a star. They can start as a puppy. But if culture isn't clear, they lower in their culture. And if evaluations and expectations are low, performance can go low, speed gets slow, trust is low, and it kind of pulls them into the corner. So here's some things about rats. Low culture, lower performance. They will scurry in the opposite direction. They got energy. They're fast, high speed, but low trust because they're scurrying in the opposite direction. So they want more responsibility. You give them responsibility, but the performance doesn't quite happen. You know, you in the dark, you don't know what they're doing. You flip on the lights and they're sitting there with the kitchen and the cheese, you know, like, oh, whoops, because you shine a light on it and it's like, oh man, what's going on? They will chew on your infrastructure. They'll chew on the wiring of your brain when you're having to manage so much emotion, so much performance level, so much frustration, not just from you to them, but other people. Like, they're throwing emotional grenades into stuff by either not performing or by just being low on the culture and kind of being passive aggressive or whatever it is. Can I tell you a real quick way for you to measure, like, how do you start determining what kind of culture you want? Think about 2 or 3 people that have been on your team that you say, man, if I could reproduce them, if I could clone them like that, I would clone them in a second. And then those 2 or 3 names, what you do is you say, okay, that's Bill, that's Sally, and that's Rachel. All right, what is it about Bill that's like, dude, if I could clone Bill, all right, it's not his choice of dress clothes. It's he always goes the extra mile. Like, he's crossing the T's and dotting the I's. He smiles. He like flipping smiles. We say it like this in our kids department. Smile is part of the uniform. Smile is part of the uniform. You don't come in and work with kids and think they're brats. Like, smile's a part of the uniform. Your attitude has got to be like high culture, you see? And so what we want to see happen is those 2 or 3 people, Bill and Sally and Rachel, you begin to identify, man, on the job, just they laugh a lot, smile. Okay, how can I create statements that would kind of lock that in? At ABC Company, we're enjoyable to be around. At ABC Company, we take the job serious, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. At ABC Company, we laugh out loud often. At ABC Company, we chase improvement. At ABC Company, we're thermostats, not thermometers. Oh, wink, wink, wink on anybody HVAC. Like, we got to be thermostats, not thermometers. We set the temperature of the organization. I could say more. Let's keep on going. Here's what rats need from you. They don't need a stomping. That's not the first step. You don't stomp on rats. Some people jump on tables and scream. That may be my wife. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Don't judge. But rats, here's what they need from you. They need reassignment or retirement. They need reassignment or retirement. They've got to, and I don't mean retire into the great, future. I mean, like, retirement from the job. Or you're going to have to reassign them. It could be that they could be a star. You're asking them to do something that is low performance, low culture, because it's in a place that's just not fit for their dynamics. Maybe they could shine somewhere else. What you have to do is connect them to clarified expectations and then specific training that would help offset. So like a puppy says, hey, okay, let me give you an example of a staff meeting real quick. Someone kind of, something said, and in a staff meeting, one of the team rolls their eyes and says, whatever, fine. And nobody addresses that. If you don't have a culture of talking things out, you could easily kind of burn the place down by just saying, whoa. Okay. But if you've already created a culture of candid and kind feedback, and a leader says, hey, I know that's how you want to respond, but that's not how we respond. All right, let's talk this through. There's a little tension here between you guys. We don't walk on eggshells here. All right. Then afterwards, you go to that person and say, hey, come on now. That's understandable, but it's not acceptable. Understandable, but not long-term acceptable. We got to raise the temp. We're thermostats, not thermometers here. Okay. So we connect them to clarified expectations and specific training on those specific things. Stars, puppies, rats. But here's the last one. And it's honestly the most dangerous one for your organization. Believe it or not, it's the most dangerous one for your organization. And it's what we call enemy incognito. Enemy incognito. And I'm going to come back to you, Marissa, on Canon Environment Creator Rat in just a minute. The enemy incognito is one who is high performance. They get the job done. They show up early. They perform. They can do sales. they've been around a long time. They know more than just about any other employee, and they know the finances. And bless God, they have their system, and their system, they've been doing it for years. And you frankly wonder how you could ever replace them if they ever left. And maybe sometimes they even remind you that you could not replace them if they left. And so, like, high performance but low culture, the reason they are an enemy is because they will drag everybody else down. Even if they are performing, they will create negative culture in your organization. The reason why it's a bomb is because they are a walking time. They are a ticking time bomb that's walking into a meeting, walking into a customer interaction. They are just waiting to explode or go quiet or give people the cold shoulder. And so how do you deal with the bombs? How do you deal with enemy incognito? You got to have the courage to see it and address it. Can I be honest with you? Number one employee, been here 20 years. They've been here 1 year longer than I was. Had to let them go a couple years ago because they were a star and they drifted over time into an enemy incognito. And they were causing so much havoc in the rest of our culture. But I relied on them so much. I felt as though if I got rid of them, it would hurt me. It would hurt the church. It would hurt the team. We wouldn't get as much done. And I can tell you, it was like holding a beach ball underwater. The moment I finally let that thing go and finally dealt with it, it was like whew, the whole organization lifted because they were blowing stuff up with high performance, but the culture was killing stuff. I had to have the courage to address it. I had to have the courage to step out. Listen to this. Courage is the keystone habit for all the other virtues. You want to be honest? It takes courage. You want to say what's right when it needs to be said? It takes courage. You want to live with integrity? It takes courage. All the other virtues really hinge on your willingness or your courage to be able to interact with those. And so your investment's got to be based on their permission and submission. Submission is this funky word these days, but a yielding. We don't think of a yield sign as like, oh, that's politically incorrect. Submission, like a husband submitting mutually to his wife, a wife mutually submitting to a husband. There's power in yielding to one another. There's power in outserving one another. If their yielding level is low, they probably got to go. If their yielding level is low, they probably got to go. But if they'll give you permission and they'll be able to kind of yield to some things, you can like Jack Bauer in 24, you can unplug the time bomb, but it's going to take some work. Here's what they need from you. Containment. You got to contain these suckers. You never know when they're going to blow up. You got to get the third graders out of the school so Bruce Willis can fix the bomb, and you got to contain this situation. All right. You also have to get really, really good at strategic grow or go conversations. Now, what I'm going to give you, you can take a screenshot of this if you want. I'm going to give you 5 steps to a grow or go conversation with anybody. It could be that a puppy's been a puppy way too long. It could be that a star has slid into an enemy incognito, or you're just dealing with the rats, the opposite of the stars. Here's what a grow or go conversation looks like. First is this. You sit them down. Hey, things aren't going well. And here's what I mean. To just say, I just don't like the way things aren't going well. Here's what I mean. And you give 3 things. I wouldn't give 7 things, because then it starts sounding like you've just been keeping track over time. Unless those 7 things happened in one day. If those 7 things happened in 7 months, you haven't been having the right kind of conversations consistently. Okay. But 3+ things, hey, 3 to 4 things aren't going well. Here's what I mean. You lay it out. Are we on the same page so far? Next one. I want you to succeed. I'll do everything I can to help you. I'll meet with you. I'll talk with you. if within my power, I'll give you the resources you need. All right. But number 3, but for you to stay, here's what needs to happen in the next blank days. And depending upon the level of intensity or however your industry is scheduled or how it's structured, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever that looks like, giving them a good semester, a quarter, or a month, whatever, here's what needs to happen in the next blank days. Here's number 4. We're going to meet regularly to evaluate your progress, and you define what regularly means to them. They might think regularly is like, okay, yeah, we'll meet in 6 weeks. You're like, no, we'll meet every 6 hours, or hey, no, we're gonna meet every Friday, 9 a.m. Check in, how things going. That shows your willingness to truly grow, not just get them to go. If you just want to get them to go, then don't be a liar and try and say, I want you to grow. I'm going to be here to help you succeed. Like if you want to go, just rip the Band-Aid off. If they just need to go, they just need to go. Okay. But if you really do want them to grow, go through the process. Finally, hey, if you can't get there, that's okay. It's not personal, but we have to make a change. And that change may be laterally to a different position. That may be a demotion. That may be off the team. Someone else said, like, promote them to a star customer. Yeah, exactly. Like they may just need to become a customer now. Okay. So there they are. There's the 4. We got the stars, the puppies, the rats, and enemy incognito. Let me wrap up with just a few thoughts on your leadership challenge. The leadership challenge when it comes to dealing with people on the team. Maybe you might even be dealing with this stuff at a higher level in the C-suite, and you're trying to figure out, like, man, okay, well, you can lead from anywhere if you're stacked with enough humility. If you're stacked with enough humility, you can lead from anywhere. First thought, leadership challenge is like creating and keeping clarity, This is what culture is. This is what culture isn't. This is what performance looks like. It's poor performance. I got to keep it clear, keep it clear, keep it clear. It's like a swimming pool. If you don't work at keeping it clear, it automatically gets cloudy. No one drifts to excellence. No one drifts into a star. They don't drift into greatness. We drift into apathy. We drift into rats. We drift into enemies. And so you got to keep that clear. Keep it clear. Keep it clear. Shock it. Test the pH levels of the swimming pool. I say it like this at Timber Creek. Everybody's peeing in our pool. I don't mean that negatively. I just mean everybody is adding to the culture. Everybody there, the way they walk in, the way they slept last night affects culture that day. And so you got to keep it clear. You wait a couple of weeks, you're on vacation, you're going to go home, it's going to get cloudy. You got to shock it again and keep that water clear. Here's the other one. It's consistently correcting drift. In church, we say it like this, or really the Bible says it like this. We all, like sheep, go astray. Like sheep, just like, it's so crazy that we're considered sheep all throughout the Bible. Like sheep are some of the dumbest animals you'll ever meet. We go astray. We love to not lay down in green pastures. We like to go off the beaten path and get bit by rattlesnakes. And the truth is, like, we all drift like a boat without an anchor. So you got to correct the drift. You got to correct with clarity. And here are 3 ways that you do this. And as a matter of fact, give me 5 seconds. I want to show you something. Oh, it was maybe 7 seconds. I had knee surgery, so I'm a little slow. Emily's husband, one of their companies they own, created this for me, and it says you produce what you reiterate, you keep what you celebrate, you deserve what you tolerate, and that's in my office, obviously, because those are 3 key things on culture. I keep what I celebrate. If you'll celebrate your stars, guess what you usually get a keep. Celebrate high performance, celebrate it, keep it. I deserve what I tolerate. If you tolerate gossip, to be honest, you deserve it. If you tolerate not showing up on time, this person shows up on time all the time. This person doesn't, but man, I can't afford to let them go right now. Like, you'll deserve what you tolerate. It will create a cloudy swimming pool. I reproduce what I reiterate. And one of the greatest challenges of leaders is vision and culture fatigue, getting tired of saying the the same dadgum thing over and over and over and over and over again. But the truth is, when you are sick and tired of saying it, 70% of your people still could not repeat it back to you. They still can't repeat it back to you. They still can't say it. So it's a reiteration of culture and performance. That, as we back up and put the guys back on there, I'd love to entertain any thoughts, snide remarks, like opinions, questions, and would love to jump in. I'll hand it back over to you, Emily, to take it from there.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. I could see in a lot of the chat, everyone's like, this is just what I needed. And I knew that would be exactly it. Like I said, I've heard this conversation a few different times, and I take things away from it every single time I hear it. But, I was writing down a whole page of notes. And one thing I said or wrote down again was, having the courage to see and address those problems. Like it truly does take courage. And like you said, that beach ball, like no one ever likes firing people or letting people go or having those hard conversations, because it does take courage. It's awkward. It's, and I've had to have those before, but like, as soon as you do let those people go, or the weight and how everyone else can just breathe again, that's what makes up for the sucky part of having to address those things and stuff. And so we can't be too scared or bashful to have those challenging conversations, those grow or go conversations.
So true, Emily. One thing would be, it's the 10 rule. Think about it. Think about the 10 rule whenever you have to fire somebody. And here's how I think of it this way. The 10 hours before you have to fire someone are going to be tough for you. If you struggle with number one, if you love firing people, that's a culture thing that you probably need to address. I'm just going to say that right now. Okay. Enemy incognito. If you love it, all right, like I can't wait, it's almost Christmas, I can't wait to let someone go. But like, it's the 10 rule. 10 hours before you have to do it, it's going to suck for you. 10 minutes, dude, sweat. I hate it. All right. The 10 hours afterwards, you're going to deal with some aftermath. All right. But I promise you, if you will think 10 days, 10 weeks, and 10 months, what if I deal with this another 10 months? What if I'm still dealing with this 10 months from now? The 10 rule helps me kind of navigate. Like, I know this stinks right now. It's like surgery. I know I don't want to go under the knife now, but 10 months from now, I'm going to be so glad I actually made that decision, because it's huge. Yeah.
No, 100%. And I've never said, like, you'll never look back in those 10 days, 10 months, whatever, and be like, man, I wish they were still here. Like, it'll never happen. Renee,
So
I
true.
have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you. This is amazing, first off, so thank you so much for giving me this pep talk that I definitely needed. I've had someone give me an analogy before, and I wanted to just get your take on it. And the analogy is, I'm going to use football, and I know Tom Brady is retired, but we're going to use Tom Brady because everyone knows that he is a very high-performing quarterback, right? So if you have a high-performing quarterback or person on your team, like a Tom Brady, and they decide to show up late, right? You're probably going to give them a little extra slack because they're Tom Brady. But if you have a rookie that's showing up late, that has no skin in the game, like, you're going to have less tolerance for it. So I've had that analogy given to me of like, well, he's a higher performer, so we basically are going to tolerate a little more of that, those bits and pieces because he's Tom Brady, again, just as the analogy. So how would you kind of combat that of like, you do have a high performer, there may be some things that he needs to work on, but the pros outweigh the cons, because he's, again, that like high performer, that Tom Brady, and he's put his time in, so to speak. Just wanted to hear your thoughts on kind of that analogy of like a Tom Brady in your business.
I think that's great. Great question, Renee. Immediately, my first thoughts are, I do believe the longer you've proven yourself, the more poker chips you do have to push to the table. You do earn a certain level of flexibility You don't have a puppy that has the same way, like you earn, I'm assuming, more vacation accrues as you're there longer term. As long as what I'm earning isn't damaging, as long as that's clear. But if everybody is supposed to be, if with our voices we're saying everybody here, nobody talks bad about anybody on this team, nobody gossips, we don't tolerate it. Well, but Tom Brady is a quarterback and he's gossiping. Well, you as the leader is what's wrong, not Tom. Because the leader is tolerating something that is in the red lines of the RPMs that's actually going to damage long-term the deal. So I think I have to manage and measure my tension zone. I actually wrote a book on this called Good Intention, and it's finding balance in a culture of extremes. And so like there's a great balance between being focused and being flexible. So if I'm focused and flexible, there may be times I can lean into flexibility. UPS, I can be more flexible with my time off if it's March 7th. But December 24th, I got no flexibility. It's total focus. But there's extremes on those. I can take focus to such an extreme that I'm rigid, and rigid stuff breaks. Bridges need flexibility, but bridges need some structure too, right? And I can be so flexible that if I'm not careful, I go to an extreme and that's flimsy and I can't hold anything. And so I would say it's not like a snapshot of it. It has to be an exact latitude and longitude. I think with high performers and stars, we're able to say, and I think a leader could say, I'm going to give them some flexibility within this tension scale. But if that flexibility is causing culture to be damaged, if it's pee in the pool, then we got to say, wait. I know you're saying that, but actually this is beginning to create it's so flexible. Like, look, a knee is only supposed to flex so far. If it goes like this too far out, you're going to have issues, and that's going to cause to the rest of the organization. Does that help?
Okay. No, that's great.
Great question, Renee.
Jeremy mentioned his book that he's written, and Andrea linked it there in the chat. It is a phenomenal book, and I listened to it on the audiobooks. You can actually hear Jeremy reading it himself. But down in the chat,
I apologize in advance for having to listen to my voice for a few hours. Yeah.
Down in the chat, Elisa said, how do you manage when a rat or a bomb is not accepting the feedback? They don't accept the idea, they are not performing, or internally creating sabotage.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I think that I would step back, and I think curiosity killed the cat, but curiosity makes me a whole lot better leader. When instead of getting furious, get curious. I think it was Charles Buick that said that. Instead of getting furious with people, get curious with people. There's obviously something that's not clear. So I would be curious to do a paper trail, to do an investigation of how clear have I been on these are the indicators. How clear is the organization that this is the expectation? This is the limbo line. Okay. I would be curious on my side, and then I would be curious to see how clear have I been, and then curious to maybe like, it doesn't seem like we're on the same page. Is there feedback you have for me that maybe I'm not seeing something? And then see what, at the end of the day, if you've been clear, if your curiosity has proven they just don't give a dang what you're saying, then it's up to you. Am I willing to allow the tick tock of someone internally sabotaging because I need them on the team? And it may be like you can't survive without that person actually being out on the road right now. Then I would already start thinking, I'm not going to let them blow up and lose I'm going to hire someone before I let them go, I'm going to get a puppy. I ain't going to connect them to them because I'm not going to have them teach them, but I'm going to give someone the ropes. I may have to pay a little extra to have that person on the team in position, because I promise you, you're paying something you don't know right now. You're paying tax. You're paying culture tax, and you're paying emotion tax. You are paying taxes that are way high tax bracket for you as a leader to keep that person long term.
Well, and I think especially in a lot of the industries here, HVAC, it's very high peak season in summer, and everyone is working to the bone. And that's when a lot of those bombs can really come out, like culture just sucks. Everything sucks. I'm going to let everyone know about it and stuff. But then once kind of the demand slows down come October or whatever, then they can kind of chill out too. And you're like, oh, they're not so bad. I mean, like, I'll keep them around a little bit while, but then, come back around in May when things start, and then they all of a sudden become that bomb. But like you said, like, can't be held hostage by this seasonality and stuff. So like, yes, maybe needing to hire someone in October and keep them on payroll, it's going to hurt with you right now. But like you said, that culture tax, how much more are you paying? And so again, having that courage to address it and to get some things in place where you can let that bomb go. And because we do know they do chill out with the seasonality when work gets a little bit easier, if you will.
Okay. So Emily, on that, if seasonally I'm dealing with enemy incognito, what I encourage you to do is even use some of this terminology. You teach it to people. You invite them to say, when are times where it could be possible that you're an enemy incognito? You know when it's possible that I'm that to my own family and to my own kids? When pressure is high at work and I take those pressures home, I am a ticking time bomb. I have to stop at the corner of Saddle Creek and Bridle Path at that stop sign and take a breath and say, my children and my wife deserve my best me. And I have to calibrate that. It could be that the person seasonally in the high pressure, they're a jerk. In the lower pressure, okay. When we start coming off of that, I've already made a calendar deal to sit with Daryl and say, Daryl, we're slowing down. And I want to commend you. You are great to be around when it's slow. When it's busy, nobody wants to be around you, buddy. And we got to fix that. And I want to give you this season to recalibrate. on that. Okay. Or we may have to have a grow or go conversation.
Very good. Thank you. Dave, I see your hand raised.
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
Hey, Dave.
Hey there. Yeah, I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate Jeremy's views and opinions here. And I think we really need to be open to more leaders outside of our industry. Jeremy's look at how to work with rats and enemy incognitos is probably more tempered than most people in our industry and business, and I'm sure that comes from the God side of things. I think in our industries we're probably shooing them out the door faster, and so I think that it lends. Am I rushing it too much? Just listening to what Jeremy talks about as far as working with the rats and the enemy incognito. So I appreciate that a lot.
Dave, you said like maybe we're rushing or I would say the church struggles with the opposite tension that a local church, because you're dealing with people and it feels like this is my church family or what, and you have to let a staff member go. We tend to lean more towards slow. Someone else like, hey, we got to get it done. They tend to so I think the tension is finding the right healthy speed that the organization, if I'm so fast, I may be so fast that if I were to slow down, I realize it's me that's the issue. I just get ticked off too quick. It may be my expectations need to be recalibrated. It may be whatever. It may be by hiring processes versus them. But if I may need to slow down and pull it back, and some others, they may need to speed it up. But like I said, if we are able to read ourselves, if we can't read ourselves, we'll never be able to grow. But if we can read self, that's a huge thing. Thank you for the encouraging words, Dave. I deeply appreciate it.
Well, awesome. I got so much from this, and I know several other people did here too. Thank you guys for all the questions and comments. Jeremy, thank you so much for taking the time to present this to us. Barry, thank you to Power Selling Pros for presenting this Spotlight series to our Lady Titans. Everything was amazing there. I'm dropping a link down in the chat below that has all the things. Now, ladies, do not forget about our epic 80s party happening next month. Okay, we're almost T-minus 30 days. We're getting very close, okay? But in Orlando, we will be having a big blowout party at a roller skating rink. We've got some super fun things planned, some things we're probably going to keep secret from you guys because you just need to show up and embrace it, okay? Because it's going to be so good. But we are looking forward to seeing each and every one of you, as we say in the South, like hug your neck, okay? We'll be doing some of the hugging your neck. So in that link tree that we put there in the chat, make sure to sign up. We are going to be getting close to the cutoff to receive all the swag and stuff. So make sure that you are signed up and registered. So, this recording will go out. We'll have it published, within a few days. So you can go back and rewatch any of this stuff. If you need to get some more of those bullet points, share it with a friend or someone. But thank you all for attending. Jeremy, thank you so much. We really appreciated it. Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Have a great Tuesday.